Welcome to ADAS Garage, where we dive under the hood of advanced driver assistance systems. From calibrations to cutting-edge tech, we explore the innovations shaping the future of vehicle safety and automation. Buckle up, because the road ahead is smarter than ever. This podcast is brought to you by Centric, providing OEM-level ADAS calibrations designed to support your business, powered by Burke Porter.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping straight into something impacting roads and balance sheets, advanced driver assistance systems, or ADS, and how they're changing the game for the insurance industry.
Absolutely. And we're not just guessing here. We're digging into a massive amount of research, specifically a compendium from the Highway Loss Data Institute, HLDI.
Right. They've pulled together findings from, over 95 reports since 2009, all looking at how these ADS technologies perform in the real world.
Exactly. It's all based on actual insurance claim data.
So our mission today is pretty clear. Use this data to figure out how ADS is hitting insurance claim frequency, claim severity. Basically the whole picture for insurers.
And for anyone listening who tracks these trends, understanding this real-world data is, it's crucial for seeing where things are headed.
Okay, so let's tackle the big one first. For insurance companies watching ADS roll out, what's the general impact on how often people are filing claims? Is it going down?
Broadly speaking, yes. The HLDI analysis shows a pretty consistent trend. For most ADS features, we're seeing statistically significant reductions in claim frequencies.
And that's across different types of coverage, like collision, liability.
Yeah, across collision, that's damage to your own car, property damage liability, PDL, bodily injury, BI, and also MedPay and PIP for medical costs. Most ADAs are linked to fewer claims in these areas.
Okay, but you said most. Are there exceptions?
There are a few, yeah. Lane departure warning didn't show consistent, significant drops, and rear cameras were a bit of a mixed bag, even linked to a slight increase in collision claims, surprisingly. Rear AEB also had some coverage-specific exceptions, but the main story is fewer claims overall.
Interesting. And does it matter what kind of ADS it is? Like just a warning versus something that, hits the brakes for you?
Oh, definitely. That's a key finding. Systems that actively intervene, think front AEB, rear AEB, they generally show much larger reductions in claims compared to systems that just provide a warning light or a beep.
That makes sense, right? Taking human reaction time out of the equation, at least partly.
Precisely. The intervention systems seem to be more effective at preventing the actual impact.
Okay, so let's break it down further. Maybe look at specific technologies and how they affect those different insurance coverages, PDL, BI, collision, etc. That's where the details really matter for an insurer, I imagine.
Exactly. Let's start with forward collision warning, FCW. Just the warning part.
How did that stack up?
Pretty well, actually. Significant reductions across almost everything. PDL claims down about 9%, collision down 3.1%, bodily injury, BI, down a solid 17.3%.
Wow, 17% for BI is substantial.
It is. And MedPay down nearly 20%, PIP down over 10%. So FCW seems to provide a broad benefit, reducing the likelihood of various types of incidents that lead to claims.
Okay, so even just the warning helps quite a bit. What about taking it a step further? Front automatic emergency braking, AEB.
Right, the system that actually brakes. Here the impact is, even more pronounced in some ways, especially for preventing damage you cause to others and injuries.
So PDL and BI.
Exactly. PDL frequency down significantly, about 14.4% on average. Collision also down about 3%. But BI claims down almost 24%.
24%. Okay, that's a huge potential saving for insurers on those often very high-cost injury claims.
Absolutely. MedPay and PIP also see reductions, around 4%. So front AEB really seems to deliver on reducing claim frequency, particularly for liability, though it's worth noting there's quite a range across different manufacturers for PDL reduction.
Good point. Implementation matters. What about things like advanced headlights? Curve adaptive ones.
Yeah, those showed benefits too. Significant reductions across the board, again, PDL, collision, BI, MedPay, PIP.
Really? Just from headlights?
Well, improving visibility in tricky situations like curves at night seems to translate into fewer crashes. We're talking reductions ranging from about 1.4% for collision up to around 6-7% for BI and MedPay.
Okay, interesting. Now, you mentioned lane departure warning, LDW was less clear. Can we circle back to that?
Sure. Yeah, LDW was inconsistent. There were slight average drops in PDL and collision, but actually a small increase in BI claims on average.
An increase. Huh.
Yeah, and importantly for most coverages, the effects weren't statistically significant. So it really casts some doubt on whether just warning the driver about drifting is enough to reliably prevent accidents across the board.
So maybe not as much of a sure bet for insurers compared to AEB or FCW.
It appears that way based on this data. Now, blind spot warning, BSW, that seemed more consistently positive.
Okay, what do the numbers show there?
Significant reductions, again, across all 5 coverage types we've been discussing. PDL down 7%, collision around 2%, BI over 8%, MedPay 8%, PIP over 6%.
So pretty effective then.
It seems so, though it's important to mention that most vehicles with BSW in the studies also had rear cross-traffic alert, RCPA, so it might be the combination doing the heavy lifting there.
Right, the synergy effect. Good point. What about simpler tech like parking sensors, those little beeps when you get close to something?
Those definitely help with low-speed stuff. Significant drops in PDL and collision frequencies, about 5.4% and 0.8% respectively. Also reductions in MedPay and PIP. Fewer bumper bumps and scrapes.
Okay, makes sense. Fewer minor claims.
Yeah.
The rear camera, you flagged that one earlier.
Yeah, the rear camera results are fascinating. It significantly reduces PDL claims by about 4.4%. Makes sense, right? Helps you avoid backing into things.
Totally, so that's good.
But it was linked to that small yet statistically significant increase in collision claim frequency, about 0.7%.
Increase, why would that be? Maybe drivers relying on it too much, not looking elsewhere?
That's one hypothesis. Or maybe it changes driving behavior in complex low-speed situations in ways that sometimes lead to other types of minor collisions. It did show reductions in BI, MedPay, and PIP, though.
So, a bit of a mixed picture for insurers there. Reduces some claims, potentially slightly increases others.
Exactly. It highlights why insurers need to look really closely at the specific impacts of each feature.
Okay, one more major system, rear AEB. Automatic braking when reversing.
This one's a strong performer, especially for reversing crashes. Really substantial reductions. PDL frequency down almost 29%.
Wow, okay, that's huge.
Collision frequency down nearly 9%, and BI down 10%. So rear AEB seems very effective at preventing those costly backing up accidents, a clear win for claim reduction.
Okay, so summing up the frequency part. Lots of ADS features, especially the active intervention ones like AEB, are definitely leading to fewer claims being filed overall. That has to be good news for insurance companies' bottom lines, right? Fewer payouts?
Generally, yes. Fewer claims should mean lower overall costs. But there's another side to the coin. Claim severity. What happens to the cost when an accident does occur?
Ah, right. Because these systems aren't crash-proof, they just reduce the likelihood. And the systems themselves have parts that can get damaged.
Precisely, and this is where it gets tricky, particularly for tech mounted on the front of the car. Things like the sensors for FCW, front AEB, or those curve-adaptive headlights, they're right in the firing line in a frontal collision.
So they might prevent some crashes, but if a crash happens anyway, the repair bill could be higher because you have to fix or replace this expensive tech.
That's exactly what the data suggests for some systems. Curve-adaptive headlights, for example, they reduce claim frequency, as we said, but they were associated with a significant increase in collision claim severity.
So the average cost per collision claim went up.
Yes, and it went up enough that the overall losses under collision coverage actually increased slightly, despite fewer claims. The higher cost of fixing those complex headlights outweighed the frequency benefit.
Ouch. So a safety feature ends up costing insurers more overall in that specific coverage.
In that case, yes. FCW also showed an average increase in collision claim severity. The sensors add cost. However, for FCW, the reduction in claim frequency was large enough that it still resulted in a small overall reduction in collision losses.
Okay, so frequency reduction won out there, but severity is still a factor pushing costs up.
Right. And where the sensor is located matters too. Like a camera behind the windshield might be less costly to deal with after a crash than a radar in the grill.
Interesting. And front AEB, did that increase severity too?
Interestingly, front AEB didn't show a significant average effect on collision claim severity. And because it reduced frequency so much, it led to lower overall collision losses.
Okay, so it's not a uniform story on severity. Some tech increases repair costs significantly when hit, others less so. Insurers really need to balance frequency reduction against potential severity increases.
Exactly. They need that complete picture for each ADS feature to understand the true impact on their total costs.
This all leads directly into a really critical topic, especially thinking long-term for insurers calibration.
Absolutely crucial. If insurance companies are starting to, count on these ADS features reducing claims.
So they need those features to actually work properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially after a vehicle's been in a crash.
Precisely. Think about it. A car with front AEB gets into a collision. Maybe it's minor, maybe not. But that impact could easily knock the radar or camera sensors out of alignment.
And if they aren't put back exactly right, calibrated, then that AEB system might not function correctly next time.
It might not function at all, or it might react too late, or even react when it shouldn't. The system relies on precise alignment to see the world correctly. That vulnerability is hinted at by the increased severity we talked about for some front-mounted tech.
So if an insurer pays for a repair, but the ADAS isn't properly calibrated afterwards, they might actually face higher future claim risk from that same vehicle because the safety system they're counting on isn't working.
That's the risk. Improper or skipped calibration completely undermines the safety benefit that leads to the claim reductions in the first place. So post-collision ADS calibration becomes absolutely essential for insurers to realize the long-term financial benefits of these systems.
They need to be sure the repairs include proper calibration according to OEM specs.
Without a doubt. Otherwise, the claim reduction data we've been discussing might not hold true for repaired vehicles.
And taking that thought a step further,
Yeah.
what about the reliability of these systems over time, even without a crash?
That's a really important consideration, too, for insurers to consistently rely on ADA's benefits in their risk modeling and pricing.
The systems need to stay functional and accurate throughout the vehicle's life, ideally.
Right. And is it possible that sensors could drift out of calibration over time, just from, normal driving, vibrations, maybe hitting potholes, component aging?
It seems plausible, doesn't it? These are sensitive instruments.
It does, which raises the question, should ADS calibration become part of regular vehicle maintenance, like getting your oil changed or tires checked?
Preventative calibration, essentially. Mandated or recommended by the manufacturers.
Potentially. If insurers are going to bank on the claim reductions these systems offer, ensuring ongoing optimal performance through routine checks and calibration seems like a logical step.
It would provide more confidence that the systems are actually working as intended year after year.
Exactly. And think about how many cars have ADs now and how that number is growing rapidly. The HLDI report even projects significant increases by 2026. This isn't a niche issue anymore. It's becoming mainstream.
So ensuring calibration, both post-collision and potentially as maintenance, becomes increasingly critical for the insurance industry to manage risk effectively in an ADAS-equipped fleet.
It really does seem that way.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. The big takeaway seems to be, yes, the HLDI data strongly suggests many ADAS features are reducing insurance claim frequencies, sometimes quite significantly. That's a tangible benefit for insurers.
Definitely. Fewer claims, especially high-cost liability and injury claims, is a positive trend.
But it's not quite that simple. Increased repair costs for some of the sophisticated hardware, particularly front-mounted sensors, can push claim severity up, sometimes offsetting the frequency savings.
Right, the severity piece needs careful watching. And underpinning all of this is the absolute necessity for proper ADD's calibration.
First, after any collision, to restore the safety function and ensure those claim reduction benefits continue.
And second, potentially, as a routine maintenance item to ensure long-term system reliability, giving insurers more confidence in factoring ADAS into their risk assessments consistently.
Which leaves us with a pretty big question for our listeners, especially those in or watching the insurance space, doesn't it?
I think so.
Given this data, the clear benefits, the severity challenges, and the critical role of calibration, how does the insurance industry really need to adapt? How should risk models, repair network processes, maybe even policy structures change to truly leverage ADA's benefits while managing these new complexities?
And what role will standardized, verifiable calibration play in making all of that possible? It feels like a fundamental piece of the puzzle moving forward.
Absolutely. Lots to consider there. We definitely recommend checking out the full HLDI compendium if you want to dive even deeper into the specifics. It's a rich source of data on this evolving landscape.